It's 3 o'clock in Central Europe. From AP, UPI, and the major American networks, the news is next on AFN.
Good afternoon, Charles Lutz, AFN News. Secretary of State George Shultz is in Paris today for the annual meeting of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. UPI in Paris says the meeting is aimed at keeping the world economy on track.
Turning his attention from the Middle East to the problems of Western economies, Secretary of State George Shultz heads the American team at the annual OECD ministerial meeting. The Americans will be trying to persuade the OECD's 23 other members that President Reagan's economic policy is beginning to work, with inflation being held down and unemployment showing signs of dropping. The two-day meeting is being held earlier than usual in the hope that the issues raised will help discussion at the Seven-Nation Economic Summit of Western leaders at Williamsburg, Virginia, at the end of May. Steve Kettle, Paris.
Government sources in Britain say Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher will call a general election in June, 11 months earlier than she has to. The Prime Minister must call an election at the end of the government's 5-year term, but the sources say she'll choose either June 9th or June 23rd for the vote, while her Conservative Party still has a lead in opinion polls. The West German magazine Stern has apologized to its readers today for publishing what turned out to be the fake diaries of Adolf Hitler. In a 4-paragraph statement, the magazine's editors say the West German government's finding that the documents were forged is a severe blow to the magazine's credibility. It says even if the diaries were proven genuine, the magazine should not have put itself in the position of printing a justification of the Nazis. Thousands of Soviet war veterans thronged into central Moscow today to mark the 38th anniversary of the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany. This is AFN Radio News. President Reagan travels to Ashland, Ohio today on his way back to Washington after a quiet weekend at his California ranch. UPI says Mr. Reagan is scheduled to speak at a memorial dinner honoring the late Congressman John Ashbrook, a staunch conservative and Reagan supporter who died last year.
En route back to Washington, Mr. Reagan will stop in Ashland, Ohio, and his brief visit there will make history. No incumbent president has ever before visited the small Ohio town, which brags of being the toy balloon manufacturing capital of the world. Mr. Reagan is stopping in Ashland to speak at a memorial fundraising dinner for the late Congressman John Ashbrook. An outspoken, longtime leader of the American conservative movement, Ashbrook was fatally stricken while running for the U.S. Senate last year, and a college in his district is establishing a public affairs center in his honor. Gene Gibbons with the president in Santa Barbara.
It's cold in the Great Lakes region today. The mercury has plunged to 28 in Chicago, breaking the old record low for this state of 32 degrees. Freeze warnings have been posted for Illinois, northern Indiana, and western Ohio. The cold extends east to New York and Vermont, where early morning temperatures were in the 30s. In Fargo, North Dakota, 4 members of a militant anti-tax group go on trial in connection with a shootout earlier this year in which 2 federal agents were killed. Details from NBC News in Fargo.
Security will be tight this morning as the task of selecting a jury begins. Only one door to the building will be open during the trial, and those entering will be subject to search by U.S. Marshals. There are 4 defendants in the case, Scott Saul and Yori Saul. Both are charged with the murders of U.S. Marshals Kenneth Muir and Robert Cheshire. Yori is the son of fugitive tax protester Gordon Call. David Brower and Joan Call, Gordon's wife, also face lesser charges stemming from the incident. The court has ordered 125 persons to report for the selection process. That's more than 3 times the usual number asked to report. The trial is expected to last from 3 to 5 weeks. This is Jeff Luchins for NBC News, Fargo.
A disaster official says residents of earthquake-plagued Coalinga, California could qualify for up to a year of free housing in mobile homes. But he said he's not sure when those homes will arrive. The town, wrecked by an earthquake last week, was rocked by 2 strong aftershocks yesterday. Education Secretary T.H. Bell says the administration is still committed to tax credits for parents of children in private schools. Bell told a gathering of Orthodox Jews in New York last night that President Reagan wants to help religious schools because of their high educational achievements. A bad start for the dollar in this week's trading. At midday, the greenback fixed at 243.46. The rate through tomorrow, 241 down a pfennig, 241 to the dollar. AFN News is compiled from major networks, wire services, and public affairs offices. Charles Lutz reporting.